having a purpose that transcends yourself is really important to your mental health particularly, but it will have knock-on effects. So, you could say, well, I do my podcast and I love doing my podcast and I get to meet interesting people and I share that knowledge with others. A lot of that is still to do with self-satisfaction. So having something that doesn't necessarily do anything for you, but gives you purpose in life is really important. Volunteering, it could be, when I say volunteering, that sounds quite big, but it could be like asking your elderly neighbour if you can do their groceries for them when you go to the supermarket. It could be calling up a friend and checking that they're okay. Just something that makes you feel like life is worth living, but doesn't necessarily earn you money or directly improve your life. I love what you've done, which is exactly what I said, which is when I'm not sure of the answer, I'll go back to evolution.
Mm-hmm. I always do that.
Yeah, I love that. I think I hadn't thought of it like that, exactly like that before, but I think it's true. A tribe, sadly, could not afford to carry dead weight. So if you weren't enough, if you were injured, if you were immobile, if you were elderly, if you weren't contributing, then you might get left behind. And then there's this really interesting new area of research called neuroaesthetics or neuroarts, which is about having some kind of creative activity in your regular schedule. So there's lots of research that shows that if you're not doing something creative once a week, and that could be dance, music, painting, drawing, going to the theatre, reading a novel, so really quite broad. Time in nature actually is included in it. Then, because nature is the palette that we all love. You could have different taste in art or music to me, but all humans love nature because we've always been in that beauty. So the impact of that on your mental health and your physical health and your longevity is huge as well. But even just like every morning, I actually thought of this morning because I wanted to mention this, but I had zested a lemon last night when I was cooking. And so this morning when I went to get the milk out of the fridge, I smelt it because it was in the fridge, and I just thought, that is so beautiful. And so they say things like, if you've put like a bunch of flowers on your bedside table and it smells nice, and that's the first thing you smell in the morning, and then you like look at the beautiful flowers. If you've got objects of beauty in your house, if you listen to birdsong in the morning, that's all neuroaesthetics. It's living a life that is aesthetically pleasing to your brain, and that's good for your health. I think it's to do with safety. So if you were able to spare your mental resources to appreciate beauty, that must mean that you're safe. That must mean that you're not just trying to survive. So it's actually, we do appreciate beauty. So seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting nice things, it's going to make us feel better. But also, we're only going to be doing that if we have the luxury of being able to do that. And it can be such small things. But also what it signals to your brain is, I'm safe because I have time to read a novel, or I have time to crank the music up and dance around my living room. Yeah, that's neuroplasticity. It's repeating that and giving yourself the message that every time I'm around trees, I'm safe. I feel safe. It won't be the same for everyone. I would imagine that, again, when we lived in the cave, that we naturally did things like looked at the stars in the sky at night, danced around the fire, did cave paintings. So that's very wired into our psyche as well. They would adorn themselves a lot more than we do. So that appreciation of aesthetics has always been there, not just from nature, from some of our rituals and ceremonies as well. And really the conclusion that I've come to with this whole spiritual crisis and then the potential revolution is that all the things that we need to go through that revolution have always been in the world as long as we've existed. And that, to me, is beautiful, because it's not like we have to do some crazy new different things that we've never thought of before. The way that I put it is, we know about generational trauma and intergenerational trauma and epigenetics and how all these bad things can like come down the line. But there's also a lot of beauty and wisdom that's there that we can have access to. It's we don't have to like reinvent the wheel at all. We can just go back to doing the things that we did when we were at peace. You can start with yourself. So I completely agree with what all those things that you've just said is how most people live, but I don't live like that. I actively try to spend as much time in nature as I can, and I have like a lot of like plants and flowers in and around my house. I am very, very careful about who's in my tribe. So it's positive, meaningful, deep, spiritual relationships. Don't use pornography or dating apps. I'm just going through your list. Yeah. The two most basic drives in the brain are sex and food. So the potential impact is huge. I agree with you that increasingly it has created a big disconnect between men and women in real life, which is really sad. The ideal of what a woman has to be or can be is very distorted by pornography. Mm-hmm. I think if I put together, you know, what I hear from my friends about dating apps with that the way that people feel they can treat others has really, really changed. And I think this has accelerated since the pandemic as well. So there's a real lack of empathy for the consequences of your actions and comments on other people. And I think pornography contributes to that because it changes the way that men view women. I think the impact on women in terms of what you have to look like how much plastic surgery you have to have, what you've got to be prepared to like do in an intimate relationship, or actually the biggest issue I would have is what you're expected to do when you're not even in an intimate relationship, you know, just when it becomes more of a transaction, when the rules have changed about, you know, again, what I hear now very commonly is, oh, well, we've been on 3 or 4 or 5 dates or whatever it is. That must mean, you know, move to the next level kind of thing. So I think that going back to having like really respectful relationships, having a lot of empathy for other people, looking out for the people in your life that might be lonelier than you. When I say, you know, I mean, I absolutely do not have my phone in my bedroom, but when I say limit screen time, that is a difficult one because we all use our screens for work and to communicate with our friends. But there are studies that show the amount of time you spend even communicating with friends online versus face to face has all sorts of impacts in terms of like how like socially comfortable you are, how empathic you are. It can even have on teenagers a really big impact on body dysmorphism. So it's fine to actually spend quite a lot of time online as long as you are also spending a lot of time with people face to face. So if we just like link this back a little bit to the question that you Googled, which is stress contagious? Then there's another rabbit hole you could go down, which would be about social contagion. So there are statistics that show that in your social group, if someone gets divorced, you're more likely to get divorced in the next year. If someone in your social group is obese, you're more likely to become obese. Now, I'm not absolutely not saying don't be friends with someone because they got divorced or they put on weight, but I'm talking more about the attitudinal stuff. So the, you know, how you treat other people, how kind you are, how generous you are, how open you are to conversations about intuition or spirituality. Basically, you meet people who are at a similar psychological level to you. And so we're always working on ourselves, hopefully. And you want to be with people, if you are, then you want to be with people who are growing too, who are open to challenge, who are learning, who are interested in exploring spirituality, who care about their mental health and other people's mental health. So it's really about, having this circle of trust and knowing that you've got support, but equally that if you do something that's really not okay, that somebody's going to tell you.
Key takeaways: the importance of purpose beyond self. Having a purpose that extends beyond self-satisfaction significantly benefits mental health and overall well-being. Activities like volunteering, helping others, or engaging in acts of kindness foster a sense of value and connection. These actions tap into an evolutionary need to feel valuable within a community or tribe. Creativity and aesthetics for mental health. Regular engagement in creative activities, such as painting, dancing, or spending time in nature, enhances mental health, physical health, and longevity. Aesthetics like appreciating beauty or incorporating sensory experiences, for example, flowers, pleasant smells, or birdsong, signal safety to the brain, fostering relaxation and positivity. The role of nature in signaling safety. Experiences in nature create neurological associations with safety, thanks to repeated exposure in positive contexts. This demonstrates the power of neuroplasticity, where pathways in the brain strengthen through repeated behaviors. Challenges of modern society. Modern societal structures often foster disconnection, loneliness, and superficial interactions. Issues such as reliance on screens, pornography, and social networks over real-life connections erode empathy and intimacy. Genuine connection, empathy, and face-to-face interactions remain vital for emotional and psychological health. The impact of social contagion and tribe dynamics. Our social groups significantly influence our behavior, attitudes, and mental health. Surrounding yourself with positive, growth-oriented people promotes personal development and mental well-being. Limiting time with individuals who negatively impact your outlook or values supports better outcomes for health and neuroplasticity. Balancing screen time and real connection. While screens are essential for work and communication, over-reliance can harm social comfort, empathy, and body image, especially among teens. Prioritizing face-to-face interactions is crucial. Empathy, respect, and self-awareness in relationships. Respectful relationships, emotional awareness, and empathy are foundational for meaningful connections. Being mindful of the influence of cultural phenomena, such as pornography, is crucial in maintaining authentic interactions. Lessons learned. Purpose-driven actions that benefit others enrich life and mental health. Small acts of kindness can have significant emotional impacts. Engaging with beauty, creativity, and nature is essential for a balanced, fulfilling life. Your environment, including your relationships, profoundly influences your mental and physical health. Choose connections that nurture growth and positivity. Societal and cultural shifts challenge connection, but intentional efforts can overcome these barriers to create a more fulfilling life. How to apply these lessons? Create purpose beyond yourself. Volunteer, help a neighbor, or reach out to friends to check on their well-being. Find small ways to contribute to others' lives. Engage in regular creative and aesthetic activities. Dedicate time weekly to creative hobbies or nature walks. Surround yourself with objects or experiences that bring beauty and joy to your daily life. Prioritize time in nature. Spend time outdoors to build a sense of safety and calm. Incorporate green spaces into your routine for better mental and physical health. Reassess your relationships. Surround yourself with people who support and challenge you to grow. Build a tribe that shares your values and uplifts your mental and emotional well-being. Limit screen dependence. Set boundaries for screen time, especially for non-essential activities. Focus on in-person interactions to strengthen connections and reduce loneliness. Practice empathy and respect. Cultivate deeper, respectful relationships by being emotionally available, showing kindness, and fostering open communication. By incorporating these practices into daily life, you can create a more connected, fulfilling, and mentally healthy lifestyle. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.